So it's time to make the thumbnails for your Borders Out of Order project. I want to walk you through that. You can see that I have paper. I'm going to do this assignment on paper because, I don't know, I just felt like drawing with my pencil on the paper. You can see that I'm reusing some of my sketch paper from before, so just ignore this part up on top. That was some of my lines and things I was using. Down below here, I have sketched some thumbnails space to use for this process. You can use paper and pencil for this thumbnail sketch assignment. If you use paper and pencil, you can print off the resource files that I uploaded, or you can go ahead and sketch your own rectangle boxes as long as you kind of keep the proportions correct. So the paper that we're going to end up using needs to be in the scale of 9 by 12. Okay, you may or may not be working on that finished size, but that's the scale that we need to use. So make sure you kind of look at that and work on that proportion, which is roughly this, okay? So you want to approach the thumbnail sketches the way that I talked to you in class, and make sure that you watch the video that is posted in all of your materials, because thumbnail sketches need to be, here I'm gonna write that over here. They need to be rapid or quick, and you're not going to be focusing on fixing them or erasing or anything like that. You're trying to get down the main idea for the composition and focus on balancing and things like that, okay? So for this assignment, you're gonna have thumbnails where you're taking your letters and numbers, and it's up to you if you want to use your word. You don't have to. If you want to use all your lettering styles, you can. If you want to switch and just use one, it's totally up to you how you end up using and utilizing the stuff that you have created and experimented with along the way. What you do need is 3 to 5 subjects. Okay, so as you can see, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit here. When I started my thumbnail sketching, I took my M that I had been working with and I put it on a rule of thirds, so I could kind of draw that in lightly for you. Okay, and I started from there. So like I saw natural sort of lines coming out from that. The first step here, I just want to be clear, because there's a finished product that looks different from this thumbnail for sure. But the first step is just to get those letters and numbers in here. So I imagined that. I brought in some 4s. They were kind of hanging out. I'm like, all right, that's okay. I wasn't really sure what's going to happen over here, so I like made a little question mark, like come back to that. Then I made this one. And I don't know if you guys have ever done this, but when I was little, oops, sorry, when I zoom in, it makes my camera wiggle. There we go. I did this thing with crayons someone taught me where you could fold your paper in half and then you would write like your name or something on the middle line. And then when you folded it back again and like pressed really hard, it would make the mirror image over here. So you'd have like 2 black lines like this, and you'd have all this negative space, and you could like color it in. And I was mesmerized by that. I still do it once in a while because it's just like so fun. So I took that idea, because I love it, and I have this idea of like spinning off the ends with my curls, which I also love, and like making fire, or this side I had like that little flower, and just different things that I might be able to do with that. I have the 4s kind of balanced because I noticed there was symmetry then. Okay, so that was another idea. So then I came down here and I'm like, well, sometimes I don't feel like those big flowy letters, you know? So then I tried this block letter, and I'm like, wow, that looks kind of cool the way it's, if I brought it into perspective. So I drew myself some light kind of perspective lines. Thumbnail sketch quality. So it's not perfect. There were areas that were a little funky. And then I wanted to bring my 4 kind of spiraling around, but I made no attempt to do the block letters or make it actually look good. And over here, this is like a letter or a number going off the side. Didn't make any attempt to make that look real either. And also, this is not finished. Like, what the heck's happening in all that space? no clue. But that's not the step we're at. Okay, like I'm thinking about it, but it's not where we're at. Okay, so what I want you to do, and I stopped early because, you know, I'm just not doing all that. So what you're going to do, what I want you to do is, let me get this down here, your assignment, that's the general idea, okay? You're going to be drawing 3 to 5 subjects, and these subjects are your letters or numbers, okay, in your style. You want to make sure that you break the plane on 3 sides. So what that means is that you touch, let's show it on this one. This one's a real good example. You want to make sure that you're touching the outside edge or breaking over it on at least 3 sides so that you don't get like a floating frame around the outside of where your subjects are. Okay? So breaking the plane on 3 sides. You're always thinking about ways that you can create the illusion of depth or space. So let me write that down here. This whole assignment, of course, is on Schoology. But the ways that you can do that, of course, is through scale, like with my 4s over here. They get smaller, creating the illusion they're going back. And overlap. Okay, you want it to be balanced. And you want it to be 75% full. Now, notice that I didn't really erase, I moved it over too far, sorry. Didn't really erase my mistakes, not fixing errors in thumbnail sketches, okay? You're moving quickly. You want to have 10 thumbnails. You can use either direction, you know, oriented vertically or horizontally. And what's coming down the road here, but you're not doing that at this stage, is going to be a division of the background. So later on, you'll be able to come in, let me just like make a fake one really quick. So let's say that I have an M like this, and I have an O, and I have that number 4 that I like. Okay, and then you have like another O, that looks terrible, and another 4, okay? And they're all doing their thing. What's coming next is that you're going to divide the background. So you might divide the background with a grid. Okay, but think back to like that number 5 painting that we looked at. Okay, it's going to get really messy because I'm not going to redraw it. But that number 5 painting had a much more dynamic background, like a thing coming out of a point. Or you might do it organically, where you like, you know, carve up the space with some curvy letters. Or what if you had like a S as part of your design? So then you're dividing up the space kind of maybe according to that. Okay, so all kinds of fun things are coming down the road, because in these spaces, that's where we're going to add color, or we might add, you know, expressive lines. Okay, so all of that is what's coming next. Okay, so here's the assignment. You're drawing these letters, you're thinking about creating the illusion of space, and remember, with your thumbnails, you're progressing from one to the next, generating your best ideas. If you need a refresher, definitely go back and watch the thumbnail sketch video again. Great, get to work.